As municipal election 2025 inches ever closer, we continue to interview candidates who are running for a seat on Lethbridge City Council, giving them an opportunity to share their platform and vision for our city. So joining us today is Gerry Saguin. Good to have you with us today,
Jenna,
Gerry.
it's a pleasure, and I want to thank you and the viewers. Keep supporting this show because it does a lot of wonderful things for the city.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Good to have you here, Gerry. Can you maybe share a bit of your background and what kind of experience you might bring to the table? What made you decide to throw your hat in the ring for City Council?
Well, that's the thing. When you decide on this endeavor, I mean, you gotta realize that number one, you gotta make this decision based on your heart for the community, and how much you care for as in your service to the community. So to answer that question, as a background for myself, I've been for most number of years in my life a community builder. I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about what that entails. A community volunteer and a community organizer. In one, it means that I have had the privilege and ability to create communities out of small groups of people and different interests. So mainly here in Lethbridge, I moved here many years ago, to be specific, about 5 years, coming from a major city in Canada where I played the same role. But coming here, I saw the big potential of this beautiful city. What drove me to move to the city is something I want to thank the people that have gone before us, who are seeking a seat in council, who have made a successful move to create a wonderful city to live in. As you see, Lethbridge is now in the radar of many people trying to achieve a better life for their families, for their businesses. So it's a very ideal city to move in. But at this point, unfortunately, with the growth, of course, come some challenges. I'm not sure if we are ready for it, but at least people like me who have seen how cities are built. Like I moved to Vancouver 35 years ago, and during that time, it wasn't as bustling as a huge city as it is now. So I've seen the growth, and I've seen how growth is handled, and I think there's something in me that I can contribute to make people aware of what is needed to sustain the growth in the city.
Yeah, so you came from Vancouver to Lethbridge, big difference.
Big difference.
Big difference.
But like I said, I see a lot of similarities from how Vancouver grew as it is now to what Lethbridge is now.
Right, and of course Lethbridge is growing like crazy.
It is immensely, yeah.
And I know you would like to expand affordable housing options, because that's been an issue, right?
It is an issue.
It's almost growing too fast. The housing can't keep up. So can you explain what some of those options might be?
There's two kinds of housing here. We're talking about rent and ownership of houses, right? As far as rent, I think rent control is a little bit something that we should start be focusing on, and part of that is accountability for owners too. Like what I noticed, this is just from a layman's point of view, is especially during when the influx of new immigrants, mostly students and contract workers, there was an immediate need because of the past laws that were corrected eventually. There was uncontrolled amount of people coming in here to nobody's fault. Because, like I said, everybody seeks opportunities. People come here from different countries to study, and hopefully, to be honest, gain permanent residency. But with that, I think that was when the federal government dropped the ball a little bit, because there was unsustainable growth. The housing, for instance, it was a good opportunity for a lot of homeowners. Real estate was cheap, so all of a sudden there were people buying multiple properties, renting out room per room, and people were actually making good money. No offense to anybody, but it's an opportunity. However, what did that do to families who are legitimately trying to seek a better life here. There was basically no houses for rent as a whole for families, unless you, of course, you want to pay the spiff expensive rent, because, like I said, the standards change all of a sudden because of the demand. It's law of supply and demand. And that's, I think we should have rent control should be enforced. At the same time, also accountability. I mean, I've heard stories about illegal rooms, building within homes. I mean, for obvious reasons. Garage converted to bedrooms.
Yeah.
For rent,
So
and
rent
I think there should be
control
enforcement on that.
would certainly help
See, that's
that.
see, I don't know which department should be take responsibility for that, but I think there should be enforcement at that level too. And that's just for rent, but it drives everything. It drives the prices of homes. It drives the most dreaded word now, property tax. Of
Yeah,
course, somehow
right.
it connects, right? So I
Yes.
think better. Well, it's kind of tapered a little bit. I've noticed now because of the changes in federal
Right.
laws.
You
right?
mentioned something there, taxes, of
Yes.
course, and that's a huge issue. So that you say that one of your priorities is to see sound fiscal management,
Yes.
right, Gerry? And to keep taxes fair. So how would you define good fiscal policies, and what do you see as fair levels
You know
of
what?
taxation?
I think we should have a fiscal review. Here we go. So, commit to rigorous review, okay, of municipal revenue reserves more strategically rather than raising new tax. Just to commit a review on the city's capital improvement program and operating budget to find savings and relocating funds. Number one. As a council member, I still have to educate myself a lot on how the allocations work. But I would say I would prioritize. The priorities is very important. Number one, the expense. Like I know this is a common question raised as I door knock, as I meet people, and one of the biggest culprits, as a lot of people are aware, is the amount of taxes put on that famous structure there on near Henderson Lake Park. It's a beautiful structure. But that was, I think, how I wish, if you ask me that, if I had the opportunity, how I wish I had a say and I was in council.
Are you talking about the skate park?
No, not the skate park, but the exhibition.
Oh, okay. The other side of the lake. Okay.
The other side of the lake, sorry.
Okay.
The LDE.
Yeah.
You know, as I've mentioned earlier, I came from Vancouver. I was actually a part of the Olympic movement in 2010. Before that, on a small capacity, but I did observe how everything was planned as a city. That thing, no questions, and I would not emphasize on blaming on the decision makers of that infrastructure, because people were talked into given inaccurate information, studies, right? I would have asked the hard questions. It would have been more. I would have pushed more for what we call this, for foresight on that. It can't just be. We can't just be sold on opportunity. This structure will bring people. Number one, you can't sustain that unless there's regular revenue generated from that on the long term, right? I think there was a lot of lack of foresight on that one. Also, I'll blame a lot more for the people that presented it to the city, that organization that caused the fiasco on that one. And I would say without a proper functional airport is another reason why it should not have been decided on that quickly. And my opinion, it should have a more stringent investigation and questioning that project before it was put forward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's been a lot of issues with that.
A lot
for
of
sure.
issues, a lot of lack of foresight, in my opinion. But how I wish I was there, I would have asked the hard questions. Right now, I think you ask me how we can sustain that. Many ways. We should make that a regular destination, for one. I've spoken to a few council members about suggestions. Maybe create something within the structure right now that will bring people in, even in a small capacity, regularly, and start building regular traffic, like maybe food, more activities, affordable.
Yeah, I think that is the plan. I think that they
Yes.
they fill those spaces.
Yeah, but we
quite,
have to
quite
push harder on
regularly.
that one, because otherwise it'll keep bleeding
Yeah.
taxes.
You did mention something there about the airport,
Yes.
and I know that, Gerry, one of your platform priorities
Oh,
is
yes.
to see Lethbridge Airport expand,
One
to
of my-
become an international airport.
Well,
Would that be nice?
it would be nice, because it doesn't make sense that we have the biggest land border in Alberta without an international airport. And we claim to be the third biggest city, and we are in a very strategic spot right now. I made a few notes as well, is that it holds an immense untapped potential despite significant local efforts. My first thing I'm going to do is I will advocate for an immediate formation of a specialized Lethbridge Regional Airport International Task Force. Okay, what that means, this team will be comprised of dedicated professionals with expertise in aviation, economic development, and airline relations. Now, the big thing about this is what we hear from most people. I've also spoke to the city manager when we had our informal session for candidates at City Hall. My first question was asked is, those two runways we have, is it capable of landing 737? Surprisingly, yes. Surprisingly, yes. But, however, the biggest problem I think we're facing right now, we could do a few tweaks and make it operational, is that airlines wouldn't still buy the concept of Lethbridge being a regular hub, right? So I would encourage a proactive airline recruitment strategy. This task force will be empowered and funded actively to engage with major airlines, presenting a compelling business case for direct flights from YQL to key Canadian and international hubs. My idea is, let's just say, for purpose of drawing a picture, start with a couple of flights to Toronto and a couple of flights to Vancouver. Two major hubs, two major gateways. Don't tell me that there is not enough business or travelers that travel every day to Calgary to fly out to Mexico, to any destination.
That would be beautiful.
Imagine coming in, everybody takes holiday. People love holidays here. Imagine coming in, have you ever experienced arriving at midnight in YYC only to drive 2 hours after a jet lag?
Many times.
Many times, right?
Yes.
So wouldn't it be convenient? Would it be attractive? And airlines will have to realize that the growth that we've been experiencing for the last 5 years since COVID, I think has generated enough. Well, we're not only talking about Lethbridge, we're talking about Fort Macleod, Tabor, even Medicine Hat. I've spoken to the security chief. There's one security head for both Lethbridge and Med Hat, and he shuttles because of the lack of traffic.
Interesting.
Can you imagine if Medicine Hat would be a market, they would rather drive to Lethbridge to fly to Toronto or Vancouver rather than go to Calgary.
I know, like a few years back, there was talk of Flair doing direct flights
I think we should
into
bring them
Tucson,
to the
Arizona,
table.
which
Yeah,
I would
make
have
a
loved because my
compelling
best
case.
friends live in Tucson. I used to live
Yes.
there. But it seems to me the 737s, they couldn't accommodate them. Because they didn't have the right equipment for the stairs.
the landing equipment.
And, and there was something about the runway too. So I was under the impression that the runway wasn't long enough.
If there's a compelling case, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to look into that rather than, sorry to go back to the LDE, because without the proper airport, how do you expect, well, we got major companies here. We got McCain, we got, name it, Cavendish, big suppliers all over the country. Can you imagine, even TELUS, imagine, we are a beautiful city to host conventions. We have the facility, but we don't have the airport.
So you're seeing lots of issues with Lethbridge that you would like to see change to make it better. And I
don't
think
get me wrong.
that's the problem with council, I think, is that everyone has their ideas and it's just putting those,
You gotta have friends in council to get it
dotting the
through.
I's and crossing the T's and
Yes.
putting the math together. And I think
Yes.
that's where a lot of problems
We
come
got
up.
a lot of good people in council. It's just a matter of, like I said, I think what I also bring to the table is I can collaborate well with different people with different points of views, and that's one of my life skills is to be. I'm a compromising guy also, but I put my values first in front of me. But I am a communicator. Part of the skills of being a community builder is you gotta learn how to work with people, and even with contrasting views. So I think that's what I bring to council. If I lucky get elected, I would be able to work with council, make friends in council, because you have to, because otherwise, no matter how good your ideas are, you don't have any allies in council.
It's a team effort for
It's
sure.
a team effort for sure.
Yeah. We're out of time. I have so many more questions for you, but unfortunately, we're out of time, Gerry. But thank you so much for stopping by.
My website is gerrysagin.ca.
Okay.
You can find all my ideas to move Lethbridge forward, and at the same time, visit me in my Facebook page. I just launched a major video there with regards to my number one priority, which is public safety. And that's another story to tell. But I'm glad that I had the opportunity to talk to you and the viewing audience. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gerry. Appreciate having you here. Gerry Saguin is a candidate for Lethbridge City Council. I'm Jeanette Roche on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks so much for watching.